How are we doing, everybody? I am Jeff Hogue here with Chris Henrique and Kevin Perdios, and we have returned for episode 19 of Shorthanded Takes, a Boston Bruins podcast brought to you by Couch Guy Sports and sponsored by Shocked Energy. Ever feel unable to focus, tired, and low on energy? We understand that feeling. We understand it so well that Shorthanded Takes, a Boston Bruins podcast is brought to you by Couch Guy Sports Network and, like I said, sponsored by our friends over at Shocked Energy. Head over to shockedenergy.com and use promo code CGSN today and get 10% off your order. So it has been a week. It's been 2 weeks since our last podcast. I had to take a week off due to lots of basketball. I did 16 straight hours of basketball on Saturday. Let me tell you what, I am still exhausted from that day, and I still got more basketball on Friday to do. So wish me luck if I survive that. Either way, one of you two can fight over who wants to be co-host. Who wants to be host if I don't survive. So I don't care who wants to do that, but either way,
we'll do the open auditions.
Yeah. We'll do American Idol style, and we'll post it on the Twitter. I bet that would get you a lot of hits, just to see
all about being agents.
You and Kevin judging people and how they host a show.
We're a great judge of character on this. The two of us combined, we really.
Yeah, I've seen some of your hot takes. Yeah, it'd be pretty good. So let's dive right in. The Bruins have been on a West Coast trip for the last couple games. They are 3-0 out west, actually. They played the Sharks, they played the Kings yesterday, and who else did they play? They played who am I missing, guys?
Kraken.
Yes, yeah. They started off with Seattle, and they went to San Jose, and then they just throttled the LA Kings yesterday, 7-0. Yesterday, as in Monday, and as of in about a half hour, they will be playing the Anaheim Mighty Ducks over there. I believe they got Vegas on Thursday, then they're heading back east. Anyway, we'll jump right into that 3-0 start, and we'll jump right into yesterday. Kevin, I know you didn't stay up for it, and I don't know if Chris even stayed up for it. I happened. I'll talk.
The fact that I'm awake right now, the fact that I've been awake past 8:30 lately, that's been like the fucking miracle and everything. So, no, I was up for the late night Bruins.
I just happened to have to work until midnight, so I was able to catch the first 2 periods of that game, and I caught naturally, I caught a 7-0 win with a Jake DeBrusk hat trick, his first natural hat trick, his first hat trick of his career. We'll talk about that in a little while. And of course, a Jeremy Swayman shutout who has been absolutely on fire as of late. And we will talk about that in a little while because he earned Rookie of the Month for his last 6 starts. But we'll skip over that yesterday one. Let's go to San Jose. And I know they've all been late games. It's been horrible. I've hated 10:30 was the worst. Why are we doing a 10:30 game in LA? I mean, I know it's a 3-hour difference, but I mean, I know it's technically 7:30 over there, but let's appease the East Coast people here too, please. Anyway, Kevin, I'll go to you. What has been the bright spot? Obviously lines have shifted. Jake DeBrusk is on that first line now with Marchand and Bergeron, and you got Taylor Hall and Holla and Pasternak on that second line. So it's barely been working out so far, and it's shown it was big. It's been big to get Marchand back.
Yeah, I think the bright spots are what we've talked about already. Swayman, he's the demotion to Providence, and again recalled, and seems to have bounced back pretty well. From all reports, it seems like I know I missed the game last night, but played pretty well. Has to be, I guess, to earn Rookie of the Month or whatever, So that's a good bright spot. And then Jake DeBrusk, I think, just boosting his trade value. It's kind of been the bright spots. I think I like them trying to keep moving that first line around. I like them not being tied down to the perfection line, but it seems to be working. I think the line changes are working. I think the guys are building good chemistry with them. They seem to be working well together. So everything seems to be going all right, but we got a couple tough games coming up, so we'll see. I don't want to jinx anything, and I don't want to be, tell everyone to jump on board yet. But
Yeah.
it's been good so far. 5 game win streak, 6 game win streak.
Yeah,
something like
I
that.
think it's 5. It's the longest of the season. So Chris, I'll go to you. 3-0 on this West Coast trip. I mean, we talked about before we took that week off that that was going to be the test for them. Obviously, we didn't expect them to go 3-0 this far. I know they played the Kraken and San Jose, which, I mean, are two teams that aren't very good. And LA isn't the best either. Jonathan Quick isn't what he used to be. But are you surprised?
Still a playoff team, though. They're still a playoff team. So it's kind of.
That West is horrendous.
Yeah, right.
Holy
I
shit.
agree.
Outside of that, though, have you been impressed with how they've been playing lately, Chris?
Yeah, I mean, when last time that we got together, we just we talked about how important this West Coast trip actually was, and the fact that they're getting the offense that they're getting from Jake DeBrusk, that's been a massive bright spot. Considering that, when is Marchand due back? When can he?
He is back.
Oh, he is?
Yeah, he came back from the
back.
Kraken series.
Yep. Well, I haven't watched the last 2 games.
He scored 2 goals against San Jose. So,
well, leading up to that, though, we were trying to figure out who was going to provide offense for this team, and then outside of that first line. So the fact that Jake DeBrusk has been able to be one of those guys that's provided that 5-game point streak. I think he's 7 goals or something like that over that span or whatever it is. And then the play out of Swayman has just been absolutely, just a massive, jolt for this team. So a lot of times when teams go out west, you see it in baseball too a lot of times. And when teams go out west, you kind of wonder, is that going to try to change the tide of your season a little bit? For the Bruins, they looked pretty good. I don't care who they're playing. They look pretty good. They just need to continue this momentum when they eventually get to come back home.
no, 100%. And, we'll dive right into it. Jake DeBrusk, obviously, as we talked about, has been red hot. 7 goals in his last 5 games, had a hat trick. His first ever hat trick yesterday was a natural hat trick, all back to back to back. Obviously, he's getting hot at the right time where it's March 1st, so we're 21 days away from the trade deadline. Kevin, I'll go to you on this one because you've been a big part in this, and you've written articles about it, and you've been adamant on it. At this point, there's been an article released today that he still wants to be traded from Fluto's Shinzawa of The Athletic per his agent. At this point, are you still shopping Jake DeBrusk before the trade deadline? Or are you keeping him until after the season?
Yeah, I guess that's kind of a 2-part answer. Are you still shopping him? Of course. I think this team, there's a lot of holes to fill. So really outside of maybe Swayman, Marchand, Pasta, I doubt you're trading Bergeron, obviously. So outside of those 3 or 4 guys, McAvoy, 5 guys, those core 5 players. Wow, I can't believe I almost forgot him, but you're not really not shopping anyone. You should really be trying to intake all the offers that you can get, see what's out there for everyone, and see if there are deals to be made to make your team better. So that being said, Jake DeBrusk wanting out and saying he wants out and playing really well, yeah, obviously you're still going to shop him. The second part of that is, should you? Yes. Are they going to trade him? I don't think they should. I think it's a tough situation because they should, if it's a package to get someone that's legitimately going to get you better, legitimately going to make you a better team. You don't do a 1-to-1 where you're getting a 3rd line, 4th line depth piece that's just oh, I forgot we had this guy type of deal. Put him together with someone. Put him together with I heard a rumor or proposal, him and Carlo out somewhere to get in another 2nd line forward, or back a solid 4th D pair, Words are hard for me. I don't understand what's going on.
Spit out your words today.
Yeah, I know. I don't know what's going on with me.
It's going to take the whole show just for you to spit
Jesus.
out the sentence.
But yeah, I think in the right package, you move them, right? Like if you're getting a legit piece in return, yeah, you put them in a deal or in a package and get a return for them. That being said, if you don't get that package, like if you don't get a deal that's going to make you that much better of a team for a playoff run, don't trade him. He's still playing for a contract. Like he's not just going to be like, well, all right, I give up. No, you're entering free agency, dude. Like you're playing for a contract. You want to get paid. You want to produce. That's how you get paid, right? So he's not just going to mail it in because he's got his future on the line, So there is no. What I would do if I'm Sweeney, I'm more leaning to I'm keeping this dude unless you blow me out of the water with a trade. Bottom line, like unless there's a good package where I'm getting, a solid defenseman back that's going to be here for a few years, or a solid second line forward that's going to be here with some control. I'm not moving him. I think he's playing out of his mind right now. Obviously, he's going to come down a little bit. A couple of those goals, I think one or two of them that he scored last night were more so on Quick than him scoring. But hey, they all count the same. So I'm not trading him. I don't think so. I think we should really take on every asset that we can get. We need all the help we can get. He's a huge piece right now for us. So I'm not long-winded answer cut short. I'm not trading him unless there's a good return coming back.
So I'll go to you, Chris. Let's put it in this perspective. Obviously he's red hot right now, and that's you put him on. That's what he's been red hot since you put him on the first line. You put him on the first line with two Hall of Famers and Marchand and Bergeron, and he starts to heat up. Do you mess up that chemistry of a first line to make a move for a guy that hasn't played on your team all season, or would you rather? Because I know you can move pieces around, but you don't want to mess with chemistry either way. Or would you rather, trade him and try to get a better piece out for the second line move, say a Pasternak back up or Taylor Hall back up?
Bruins don't have to trade Jake DeBrusk. Just because Jake wants to be traded doesn't mean they need to trade him. He is a restricted free agent at the end of the season. So there really is not a massive motivation for Don Sweeney to move him because there's going to be picks that could be tied to him later on. Here's the thing, though. To answer that question, I wouldn't want to break up that chemistry right now. Continue to if you got lightning in a bottle, run with it. I'm not high on, that idea of maybe taking DeBrusk and Carlo and trading for another piece. I don't want to take from the defense. I want to add to the defense personally. But I think right now you have a red hot Jake DeBrusk. You ride that out until that flame just boom, disappears. I don't think the Bruins need to move him. Now, if his agent can go and find a team that's willing to give him a contract extension, which I kind of find would be hard to do because then the compensation piece is probably going to be a little bit different, then you've got to consider it because, if you can't find a team that's going to be able to extend him, what's another team going to give up? And by the same token, what are teams willing to give up for Jake DeBrusk? So I wouldn't trade him right now. I would hang on to him. I understand he wants to go somewhere else, but you know what? Life sucks sometimes, and you got to do what you got to do, right? So
Too bad.
You're on the Boston Bruins, and you need to put your best foot forward. You're a restricted free agent. Make a team. Go ahead and show a team. Take this time to show teams what you have inside of you, that determination, and that you're going to play through adversity, and you're going to play through, you're going to play through some shit, because that's going to be teams that are going to line up and say, you know what? Kid wanted out. He still performed at a really high level. That speaks a lot about we bring him into our program, and who knows, maybe a team overspends on him a little bit, and we go from there. Bruins, don't trade him right now. I just don't see the need to move him. I'd keep that momentum going. Now, if a team's going to offer up and they can get a decent defenseman to add to the piece, I'm gonna entertain that because I still want them to add to the defense.
Okay, I like it. Either way, it's going to be interesting. like I said, he's been red hot on this West Coast trip, and there's 2 more games left. You got tonight coming up in 15 minutes, and then you have Vegas on excuse me, TNT on Thursday. That's a big game, and that's probably the toughest out of them all. That being said, we'll hop on to because I had he changed his mind, but no, that answer the whole article, kind of just ruined that for me. But anyway, we'll jump over to what has been probably the most best part about this win streak, and that is Jeremy Swayman just making his way to a clear number 1 spot to be the lead goalie for this team. And he has been playing like a lead goalie, and he has been starting games like a lead goalie. Linus Ullmark is in net tonight against the Anaheim Ducks. So that means Jeremy Swayman has a big test on Thursday. He's most likely going up against the Vegas Golden Knights, who is a very good team. Kevin, big fan. Obviously, I'm a big fan of Jeremy Swayman, Main Connections, and he got Rookie of the Month, 5-1-1. 5-1-1 in the last month with a .986 save percentage. What? And you mentioned it earlier. Everyone was wondering if the demotion to the AHL when Tuukka Rask came up would hurt him any. All 3 of us said it wouldn't. All 3 of us knew it would help him, but I don't know if we thought he would be playing this out of his mind right now. But he is clearly playing like a number 1 goalie right now.
Yeah, he is. And the first thing, right as you were kind of introducing this idea and this topic was, wow, what an idiot Sweeney is. What an idiot this dude is, right? Like you're now paying your backup goalie $5 million or whatever it is for 4 years, right? Like you're an idiot. You're a dumbass. You have no idea how to construct a team. You have no idea how to draft. You're a liability, right? You're a liability to this team because you had in your control 2 very good goalies that you could have used as backup for probably both of them would have been making, I don't know, maybe a little over $1 million. Vladar, I know you got something in return for him, but screw it. Why would you pay $5 million in cap to this goalie that can't even beat out Swayman? And that sounds like it's a shot at Swayman, but it's Sweeney should never have paid this guy, bottom line, right? Like anyway he looked at it, you don't know what Tuukka is, I understand. You don't know what Swayman is, I understand that. But when you're looking and you have the 5-year plan, 3-year plan, whatever it is with the contracts, that, all right, Swayman's going to be our guy. Why don't you just roll with the 2 rookie goalies or 2 young goalies and see what happens? And eventually down the line, I'm sure towards, the middle of the year, a veteran goalie is going to pop up. A veteran goalie is going to become available that if you need, hey, these 2 guys aren't working out, we'll go pay him, see if he can come back in. Hell, who knows? Maybe Ullmark is still there. Who knows? Yeah. Who knows where he ends up and what money he ends up with. But I'm glad to see Swayman playing well. Goaltending was a huge question mark, and it's similar to pitching in baseball. You're only as good as your goaltender, right? So you could be the best team in hockey, but if your goaltender sucks, you're not going to be a very good team. And when you have good goaltending, good things happen. So Swayman hopefully continues this. I think, again, it's another hot streak. He's going to come down a little bit.
Of course.
So out to all our listeners, all of Boston media, relax, calm down. It's okay. Like, this happens. Let the kid grow a little bit. We'll be all right. This is a good sign for the future.
So let me rebuttal what you just said down to Chris really quick. Chris, do you think obviously getting some back down to the AHL helped him out a little bit, and obviously it probably lit a fire under him a little bit, and the return of Tuukka, and I think Tuukka helped him out a little bit. But do you think getting Linus Ullmark at the beginning of the season, the deal is still ridiculous? I will say that the deal, $5 million is ridiculous a year, is ridiculous. But do you think having his veteran leadership on that team is helping Swayman, kind of grow a little bit in the net, and kind of making that friendship with another veteran goalie that is kind of taking you under his wing?
Yeah, they have a really good chemistry with one another, and you can see it like after every win, they do the giant hug, which is kind of like the calling card. Every time the Bruins win, now everybody wants to see the hug between
Yeah.
the goaltenders, right? I don't think that would have happened between Rask and Swayman. I don't really see that. You know what I mean? I feel that.
This is what I wanted. This is what I wanted right here.
And to be on top of it, like, yeah, do I want to pay $5 million for a backup goaltender to give out hugs? No, I really don't. But if these two guys have that chemistry that they built together, and Ullmark is a good goaltender, I think they paid too much for Linus, but ultimately, Swayman has played his way as the number one. I know that Cassidy's say he's a little ahead right now and that he doesn't want to declare anything. Kind of throwing a question out that he kind of answered himself the other night over the win over the Sharks, saying like, can he handle the majority of the starts? He's a young guy. It might play out that way for him if he continues to play the way that he has. All you got to do is get a hot goaltender. If this kid's getting hot now and he can carry into the postseason, into the NHL playoffs, you add a piece here or there, this team might be dangerous. This team might be, this might be a team that you might not want to play. You know what I mean? The Bruins might have, they're catching fire, lightning in a bottle with this kid, but there's nothing they can do about Ullmark now. I can't imagine any team is going to want to take on that cap hit. Not even this season, but moving forward, I don't see that as. I don't know if he's a movable piece right now unless you attach him to someone else.
Has to be a money dump.
And you can't really attach him to Jake DeBrusk because now a team's going to invest in after everything's said and done, both, I think one's 5 and one's, 3 and change. So I think ultimately right now you ride out Swayman. He's your number one. You sprinkle in Ullmark, but Ullmark provides insurance too if this kid hits a little bit of a wall. And, so we've been so wishy-washy this season when we've talked about the goaltending situation because, we've been hard on Ullmark when he's had a tough patch. We've been positive for him when he's been good, so I think we just ride the wave of emotions that is this goaltending situation for the Boston Bruins. And I'm just going to continue to ride whatever wave that is. And right now it's it's Sway is the number one, and Ullmark's a really good insurance package and gives out $5 million hugs.
So Kevin, I'll toss it back up to you before we move on. I'm sure you want to rebuttal that after what he said. So the floor is yours on that.
Yeah, I think, it was, I guess why I would be like, I don't know if that's true, right? Because Rask has almost been around from the beginning. If we go back, Rask has been there. Like he's been working his way back, right? That's been the storyline. That's been the thing. I bet you if they really wanted that veteran presence and that veteran leadership in the goaltending room, I'm not convinced that's why they paid Ullmark. I don't think they paid, we need a veteran goalie in here because
I think they paid Ullmark to be the number one. It just
right.
proving them wrong. Like, hey, you wasted $5 million.
Right. And I agree. So it wasn't necessarily the veteran leadership part because again, remember Ullmark came from a shit team. The Islanders or wherever the hell he came from were terrible. They were awful. So it's not like this guy is a proven winner or anything like that. It's not like he's been part of a Stanley Cup run and can provide that veteran leadership for a deep playoff run and how to stand up under pressure come playoff time. He's just been a solid goaltender in a bad team. That's really what his MO was. And everyone's like, oh, this is a good signing because, he's with a shit team. No wonder why he's 500 with them. If he comes to a good team, he'll be much better than that, which I think he is a little better. Obviously, his win-loss record is going to show a little bit better. But I think if you really had the conversation of, all right, we're rolling with the young guys, Rask, we're going to allow you to come back because we have the cap space and, it's your job to lose almost if you're healthy. And then what we know now, if he wasn't healthy, there could be the conversation. All right, finish out your contract or whatever, prorate your contract and be the assistant goaltending coach or something. You know what I mean? Keep them in the room somehow, keep them around the team for the rest of the year and make them a deal. Yeah, we're going to finish out your contract for the year or whatever it is. There's a way to work that behind the scenes that you get that veteran leadership. You get that guy that's there to, hey, shit gets tough, right? This is how you got to battle through it. This is how you have to go. Boston media is not like nowhere else in the world, right? Or nowhere else in the United States. It's unfair. It's cruel. You know, once you show what you possibly can do and you have one bright spot game, they hold you to that standard. We're unfair. We're cruel, whatever. Don't, tune out the noise, go play your game. Yeah. I understand Allmark, the hugs. Oh, that's great and everything. I almost would rather, if we remember back to when Rask was a rookie, there was things that like him and Thomas didn't get along. There was things that they were always battling with each other. I almost want that. You know what I mean? Part of me was like, I want to see like, yeah, I love the hugs and it's good to see you guys battling, but I kind of want to see, trying to competitively with each other, outdo each other. All right, you got to shut out this game. I'm going to get a shutout next game. Have that internal competition. And I'm not sure if Allmark views it that way. I think Swayman views it as I'm proving this entire franchise wrong right now. That's why he's playing lights out. Allmark's just like, yeah, I got my money, whatever.
So I want to throw something back because like the thing with the whole Rask piece, I kind of, as you were saying that, I kind of started to think about the Brady situation with Brady and the Pats, right? When you're that number one guy, when you're that, you theoretically, you're the alpha, you're that top dog for that position, you never want to give that back up. And if I'm Tuukka Rask, I don't care whether I'm hurt or not. Like, I don't want to give that back up, and I'm not coming back to the Bruins to be a mentor or a 21-year-old's babysitter or wherever, I'm not saying that he's got to babysit, but I'm using it as an example. Rask comes back, he's the number one. That's why he wants to come back, or he thinks that he can play at a number one level. I think that if they work something out, why isn't he around now?
No, I agree. Like, from what I'm saying is go back to day one of training camp. They knew a Rask comeback was in the works, right? Like, they knew Rask is working his way back to get healthy. I would say more of, hey, this is your job. Like, when you're healthy, if you stay healthy and everything goes according to plan, you're the number one goalie. This is your job to lose. Like, your job to, unless, shit goes south, which it did. You weren't healthy. It wasn't, it's hard to come back from a hip surgery at 30 years old, whatever he is, 32 years old. He health-wise removed him from that job. It wasn't like Cassidy or Sweeney was like, yep, Rask, you're done. It was kind of health-wise that it just wasn't in the cards for him. And I think that's the different element of, yeah, we know you love this city. We know you want to win the Stanley Cup. We know you want to be whatever. Stay with us, stay with the team. We'll finish your contract. We'll, whatever it is, you can work that out. It's not like you ripped that job away from them. It's, dude, listen, we wish you were healthy because if you were, you would be our number one. You're not. And that's kind of what I think. Not that I think it would have been and should have been Rask's job day one, whatever, if he's healthy. Like, if he was healthy right now, I would be saying, yeah, great, Swayman's playing well, but Rask has to and is your number one.
Okay. I like it. That's what I wanted out of this segment. I wanted some arguments back and forth because I knew we would get that, and I was happy for that. So thank you guys. I appreciate that. You did exactly what I wanted. So what?
Glad we could help.
Hey, I knew I could count on you guys. So I want to dive into this really quick. I don't really want to dive too deep in because I try not to keep this political a lot because I try to keep it, hockey related, but this really does need to be discussed. This is a big issue right now in the NHL and around the world. So everyone knows what's going on in Ukraine and in Russia and all that stuff. Obviously, it has been said in the NHL that a lot of Russian players are getting death threats and all that stuff. And the security at stadiums have been increased by tenfold. So I just want to, so Alex, I don't want to get too deep into it, Kevin, but Alex, obviously the Alex Ovechkin thing going on with that. And, you know, the Artemi Panarin stuff, Kapril Kaprizov and all that stuff. What is your take on everything going on right now when it involves the NHL? Because they, like you said, I think you said CMC.
Yeah, CCM
cut off Alex Ovechkin.
And all Russian players.
All Russian players. You're seeing stores taking off Russian vodka, Russian alcohol off the shelves around here. So I just want to hear you guys' take really quick on what's going on in relation to the NHL with this whole Russia-Ukraine situation.
Yeah, it's a tough one. You know, no matter what, you have to know that, you know, Putin's a dick. You know, this dude's a POS, you know, so that's a given. And I might probably be in the minority here that I think Ovechkin answering these questions from the reporters that are like asking him, "Oh, do you agree with Putin or whatever?" It's like, dude, that reporter's a fucking asshole for asking that, right? Like, how many times does he have to say during the presser that I have family there? Hey, I have family there. Like, take the fucking message, read the room, and shut the fuck up for a minute, because we know Putin's not a rational thinking human being, right? Like, obviously he can't say anything. He can't and shouldn't. Okay, so what if he says, "Yeah, I agree with Putin"? Great, he gets ostracized in the United States where he plays hockey for a living. All right, what if he says, "No, Putin's a dick, you know, I don't agree"? Great, his family could get killed. Like, it's a lose-lose situation. And I think he did it. He answered it the right way. And I've seen the articles of, like, you know, Ovechkin's a chicken shit for whatever. Like, he's had Putin's back or supported Putin through all this. And it's like, yeah, well, how do we know Putin's not saying shit to Ovechkin? Like, how do you know there's not behind the scenes stuff coming from Putin to Ovechkin? And I agree. Yeah, it's a bad optic that now, once everything's going south, you can't condemn him, or you aren't picking a side. You're kind of staying down the middle. You have to, right? And from the, like, CCM aspect of removing all Russians, that's just a business decision, you know, and you can criticize it, you can say what you want. It's kind of, well, we have to look after our main source, and that's the United States, Canada of hockey. You know, I don't know how much equipment or merchandise or whatever they sell over in Russia or overseas, but I would put money on that the amount of CCM stuff bought in the United States and Canada outweighs the amount bought in Russia, you know. So it sucks. I don't think it's necessarily fair to the Russian players. Like, I don't know if I'll keep it on the Ovechkin. I don't know if he has a choice, and I know he's the front name of it because it's Alexander Ovechkin. He's one of the best all-time players in the game.
Yeah.
You know, he's probably, if he stays doing what he's doing for, you know, 5-6 more years, he's probably going to break the goals record. You know, the dude's scoring at an alarming rate still. So it's awesome to watch, but I get where CCM's coming from. Fair or not, I don't know what to think. It sucks, but at the same time, Russia fucking sucks. You know, like, so it's kind of like, yeah, dude, like, sorry, Ovechkin, and we know you're a great hockey player and everything, but your president is a dick. So we don't know what to tell you.
I will say, yeah, a lot of people were mentioning. I don't know if he changed it yet, but his profile picture is still of him and Putin on Instagram. That's a big topic right now. But that aside, so you look at it, the KHL has gone straight into playoffs now over there with everything going on. A lot of stuff has been moved out of Russia when it comes to sporting events. Russian teams have been banned from You know, the FIFA World Cup coming up. Obviously, the Olympics just got over when this started, so nothing you could do there. But you know, a whole bunch of different things here and there. I think the World Juniors Hockey banned Russia, if I remember correctly. So Chris, the impact is being seen widespread, and Russia obviously is a big aspect when it comes to the sport of hockey. Outside of Canada, it's probably in the United States, probably the third largest hockey when it comes to hockey. What obviously this guy, no one knows how long this is going to go on for. No one knows what's going to happen next, but the impact on this is going to be big when it comes to, you know, CCM pulling stuff, and next thing you know, you're going to be seeing the bigger name brands pulling from Russian players. I don't know who's sponsored by who, but you might see Nike pull some people here and there. Just looking at these brands and stuff, you know, because you got these young players like Kirill Kaprizov, Artemi Panarin. You still got the older people like Alex Ovechkin, and I'm sure I'm missing a whole bunch of names, but I can't think of all the Russian players off the top of my head. But these are some big names that, you know, branding could be pulling in. You know, it's going to affect the NHL.
Yeah, I mean, you know, to kind of this the whole like situation, it's hard to like wrap your head around just from the start of it, you know, and it's hard for me to really try to understand in you know, because like who knows what the hell this guy's thinking, right? And why he's truly invading, and what's the motives beyond Ukraine and everything else. But it's gonna have a massive impact and a ripple effect and everything else, because it has. Now, it sucks because these Russian players who are kind of guilty by association in a way, yeah, you know, brands have to protect themselves too. And it's kind of like a double-edged sword, and it kind of like flies against a lot of what the world has been rallying around the last, you know, handful of years about, you know, diversity, inclusion, equality, and all of that piece. And now we're saying like, hey, because you're Russian, you can't be supported. Not all those guys may feel the same way about what's happening right now, what's going on with this war. And you know, Ovechkin may have made comments or had things in the past with Putin and everything else, but you know, where does he stand now? Those are the things that it's like it's such a different and fine line with a lot of these things. Um, I don't blame brands for doing it, but I also, you know, you have to protect your brand long term. You know, you can't have and run the risk of, you know, hey, we're not going to be able to sell this product because so and so's on the cover. You know, I there's soccer balls out right now for the that say St. Petersburg on them, and I don't feel they should be sold in stores right now. You know, I think that we need to be respectful to everybody, and you know, I don't be respectful to someone who feels either strongly about the war, or maybe they have family that lives out that way, and that's just another reminder. And it's just the whole thing just really sucks, and it's a scary situation because we don't know what could happen next. You know, something really bad and drastic could happen, and it's gonna hockey is gonna be the least of anybody's concerns, and whether or not Ovechkin is a featured athlete for CCM and everything else. I don't know. Did you guys see what Dominic Hasek said about what the NHL should do? That the NHL should suspend all
Yeah,
the.
that's where my chicken shit comment about Ovechkin said. He Hashik was the one that called Ovechkin chicken
Oh, was
shit.
that him that said it?
Yeah.
Yeah, of course it was.
And what makes it difficult too, you know, think about like all of those countries and where those players come from and how they feel about, you know, their history and with that country, and how Russia broke up in all these different pieces and they became all these different countries and everything else. Like, it's such a fine line, you know, that you know that organizations are going to need to talk about with their players and everything else, because this is such a unique situation that, you know, it doesn't really, we're not totally involved with, but we need to be helpful and supportive. But I don't know, it's hard to really put into words, because like you see the shit on TV, and all I can think about right now is, you know, the TikToks that I see of the tank running over that car, or the missiles that's taking out these buildings. It's kind of hard for me to think about like CCM and their feelings about having Ovechkin on there. Like you kind of like your mind starts to go towards the true and the important piece, but it makes sense. This is having a massive ripple effect all across the globe, and it's gonna continue beyond the NHL. I was watching the news this morning, and there is big brands that are going to start pulling out of Russia. That are there's like this massive mall they were showing, and there's these companies that want to pull out. So there's going to continue to be this ripple effect until this stops and they replace Putin at the end of the day. So
what's going to be really interesting about it, like I'll keep it strictly on the sports because Chris is right that like there's bigger things than hockey, baseball. Like there's bigger things going on in the world, right? Like more important things, like innocent people are dying. Like that's the most important thing, right? Like what's going on in the world is wrong, screwed up, whatever. It's, but we're a hockey podcast. I'll keep it on the hockey side of it. What's going to be really interested is how free agency happens. Like this, you have to imagine like this isn't going to be solved overnight, right? Like this is going to be months and months and months and months of whatever, escalations, de-escalations, whatever, however it plays out. But it's going to take months, years, it's going to be going on for a while. How do NHL teams handle free agent Russian players? Like how does that get handled? Are they still going to sign them? How does a kid that's, all right, I'm the number 2 prospect in the Bruins organization, but I'm Russian. How does that get handled? That's going to be the interesting thing to kind of pay attention to, because you're right. Like there's crazy people in the world on both sides of the aisle, right? No matter where you lean politically, whatever, there's crazy people on both sides. And, as an organization, as a company, as whatever, you could get looked at wrong if, well, you called up this Russian player, you paid this Russian guy who, raves about Russia or whatever. You know what I mean? You paid him $10 million, so I'm boycotting your season tickets. You never know. Like extreme shit can happen. And so I think one thing that just kind of popped in my head is how does free agency work? Like how do these guys get paid? How the owners that are billionaires, like let's be honest, that are probably very close to a lot of politicians, and how do they handle it? How do they handle, if Alexander Ovechkin was going into free agency, that would be a whole nother.
I'd still sign him.
Right, exactly. Like that would be kind of like the tipping point of, we have a chance to go get Ovechkin, but we may take a hit here. Obviously, rationally thinking people like us, you sign Ovechkin. If you get, screw you. Like, fine, he doesn't live in Russia. Like, be like, Ovechkin, get your family out of Russia. Come play for us, whatever it is. Figure it out. But I think that's just something, food for thought, keeping it strictly on the sports, even though, like Chris said, there is a lot bigger.
And what makes that hard too, like if you think about, if let's say Ovechkin was a free agent, right? Just think about how many teams are just they may just completely stay away because of the PR fallout. The thing would be is like for me, like if I was,
unless you're the Chicago Blackhawks, then they don't give a shit.
That's besides the point.
Yeah.
Like if I was in that position where I was an owner of a National Hockey League team and Alexander Ovechkin was a free agent and I have the cap space to go and make a move to get him, and he's the one player that would put me over the top, and this conflict is going on, I would have to ask questions that he would need to satisfy my appetite for. Like, what's your relationship with Vladimir Putin?
What if we win the Stanley Cup? Are you bringing the Stanley Cup back to Russia?
It all depends.
That's
on what's
a question.
Going on.
So if you're a top 3 team, if we win the Stanley Cup, are you bringing this cup back to Russia? So what does he say? So if he says yes, I think I'm going the other way. That's me, right? Like if you're going to take the stance on that, all right, man, I don't know. I don't know how does that look with Gary Bettman, or, he's a tool in himself, but
Gary Bennett right now over that other moron, man clown.
So, you
Clown, I
mentioned
like that one.
you mentioned going back to Russia. If you win the Stanley Cup, you look at I'm looking at a list of Russian players in the NHL, and obviously there's a lot of them, but a lot of them are on the Washington Capitals. So let's say the Washington Capitals, when you have Alex Ovechkin, you have Evgeny Kustenov, you got Dmitry Orlov, there was one other player in here I saw, but you got 3 or 4, on that Capitals team alone that it's a good question, Kevin, that if something like that happens, if they win, do they let you bring the Stanley Cup back to Russia with you? Also, I guess I never realized Andrei Vasilevsky was a Russian, but that's besides the point. There's a lot of names on there. There's at least 40 names on that list of people.
Yeah, I mean, if you want to be, Russians may do a lot of things wrong. They do one thing right, and that's breeding hockey players. So,
dude, they literally, I'm pretty sure they're born in the ice.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure they just come out of the womb and they're skating. So,
dude, I'm pretty sure they cut a hole in the ice and they just pull kids out.
Yeah,
and that's your kid now. In Russia, this is your kid. You don't. You got
you're assigned kids. It's like going through the McDonald's drive-thru.
Exactly.
They just hand you a kid.
If this whole conversation shocked you, well, I'm gonna tell you to get Shocked Energy, because that is a drink for gamers, made by gamers, and that is sponsored by us. Because why not? So head over to shockedenergy.com to get your promo code CGSN to get 10% off your next order. CGSN for 10% off your next order. There's one more name on this list I thought was quite interesting. Who was it? So you got Malkin of the Penguins is on there, Tarasenko of the Blues, Bobrovsky of the Panthers, Vasilevsky. A name that intrigued me today because he was inactive for his game was Valery Nichushkin, excuse me. Bless me. Valery Nichushkin. He plays on the first line of the Colorado Avalanche. He was inactive today.
That's going to be so interesting to see, because a lot of good teams. You know what I mean? That's a lot of good teams.
Yeah.
How do you handle it?
And obviously, Vasilevsky got the win today for Tampa Bay, but they played a shitty.
And what sucks too is
team.
These guys are going to have to they're going to, instead of talking about their team or their win or the loss, or
they have to answer this. Yep.
Whatever it is, there's going to be people, and rightfully so, they're doing their job by asking, what's your stance on this whole situation? How do you feel on it? All this other stuff. And what puts them in a hard position too is like, I watched and saw the videos of people trying to protest, and God only knows where they were taken to when those Russian police arrested them. Like the fear that country and those people have because of that dude. You mean, like, I just think about these players, like, it's like can they say what they really want to say? You know what I mean? Like, whereas, it's such a crazy thing, and it's something that's tough for us to understand, because we're not from Russia, we're not Russian players and stuff like that. The whole thing, when you start to look at it from a different perspective out, and just, there's a lot of fascinating things that I think that we asked, and I'm just curious, I'm wondering if any reporters have asked these questions too, just even the most basic, like, will the Stanley Cup, will the NHL allow the Stanley Cup to be represented in a parade or in some sort of celebration on Russian soil with what's going on? You know what I mean? Like, I think it's a valid question. I think it's something that people would want to know about.
So we'll move on from that note. It was a great conversation. I did want to get that in because, it is a big situation right now in the NHL. It's all over the world, obviously. We've talked about, we've seen all the scary stuff that's been going on. I've been following on Twitter as much as I can. I try to stay away from some news stations because it's just it's different areas that you want.
It's brutal between like Fox News and CNN.
Exactly.
It's brutal. Like, and again, I like to stick to sports.
Exactly.
Sports is an escape for everybody. Yep. It's an opportunity for us to get away from what's going on. Like the podcast. Like, we do a podcast, And whoever listens, it's just an opportunity. You get away from the real world. Just listen to a couple of dudes talk about hockey and, things that you like to do, But I too, like, I'll watch, the two different stations, and it's so wild, and just the two separate sides of everything. And it's crazy how everything's kind of transitioned and things along those lines. But
so we'll move on from that because this is a hockey podcast and we want to keep talking hockey, and I want to wrap this baby up and put a bow tie on it. So we're at Vegas on Thursday. That's gonna be a big game. Swayman, I believe, will be in net for that one. We'll see. And then they head back east some. They'll be at Columbus on Saturday, and then they'll be hosting Chicago on Monday. So they'll be back home on Monday. So we'll wrap it up here with some penalty shots. And as I speak, Bruins are down 1-0 because the defense can't clear the fucking puck worth their life. Literally right into the hand of one of the Ducks players, and Rickard Ruckel. See you right between the right in the 5 hole of Linus Ullmark as he was trying to stretch out to save it. So that's besides the point. So it's 1-0 Ducks. What do we think, boys, on the we'll skip this Ducks game. What do we think on this upcoming 3 games for the Bruins schedule before our episode 20 comes out on Wednesday? Kevin, I'll start with you. Probably should.
So Knights, Blue Jackets, Kings.
Yes.
Knights.
Yeah. Did I say Chicago?
I think I'm missing wrong.
No, you know what? I probably wrote Chicago by mistake.
Well, they have Chicago. So like the next 3 are Knights, Blue Jackets, Kings, and then the 3 following that are Blackhawks, Coyotes, Blackhawks.
You know what? That's what I saw. So yeah, it's the Kings, not the Blackhawks. So we're going up to the Kings at home game, hosting the Kings.
So I think obviously the clear-cut game to watch is Vegas. Vegas is
TNT at 10 o'clock, by the way. Just saying.
So, wow, I didn't realize they would. I just looked at the standings. I'm looking at the standings now. They're right above the Ducks.
Yep.
I didn't realize they were. I thought they were like leading their divisions. The Kings are higher than them. Wow. All right. So yeah, you know what? I think depending on how this Ducks game plays out, I think it sounds like, I don't know, is Ullmark starting against the Knights, or is it Swayman?
I'm pretty sure it's Swayman the way it's been going. I would think it's Swayman, and it's just the way it's been going. So I'm gonna say Swayman.
All right, I'll put it this way. I'm gonna put it this way. All right. Swayman will win his next start, like next 2 starts. So if he starts the Knights and Blue Jackets, he'll win. But Ullmark is gonna lose his next 2 starts.
I'm just gonna put this out here. Nick Foligno just scored a goal.
Whoa!
Miracles do happen. Miracles do happen, and it's Nick Foligno from Thomas Nosek and Brandon Carlo on that goal. So that's the
all right
bottom ass line coming up big there.
But yeah, so I think my prediction or whatever is Swayman continues to play hot. So if he's starting against the Knights, he gets the win. And Ullmark is going to continue to show that Sweeney has no idea how to build a hockey team and no idea what he's doing with his job, and is going to lose his next 2 starts.
You know, I try to make that whole, segment about Swayman something nice, and we could say nice things, but Kevin just had to go in there and just, just rip on Don Sweeney for I wouldn't say no reason, but he just had to rip on Don Sweeney. Okay. If you would have let me know, I would have had a full segment set out for you to rip on Don Sweeney. We can do that every week now. We can do it.
I'm on board with it until this dude. I took this stance against Tuukka. I was like, you're supposed to be this good of a goalie. You got to play up to it. You can't be crapping out during the playoffs or whatever. But he made me eat my words. I made a deal with one of my close friends that was like, if they make a deep run, I think it was like last year, 2 years ago, whenever it was, might have been 2017 or whenever they lost in Game 6 or whatever. Made a deal if he goes that far, stands on his head, helps them get there, I won't bash Tuukka anymore. And he did, he did. So I not bashing him, and until Sweeney figures out how to draft, how to build a hockey team, and how to build a hockey team that's contending for a Stanley Cup, not, game one of the playoffs or first round of the playoffs and losing, I'll eat my words. But until then, Sweeney, your job is winding down here.
I'll write that in for next week to have a segment of just bashing Don Sweeney for you. Do you want me to throw in Jeremy Jacobs while we're at it? Just to,
that's a given. That's too easy. That's just
is that just like built in with it?
Yeah, that's just like I can pull any guy off the street and he'll know that Jacobs is a fucking clown and a half.
Chris, you're the new owner of the Bruins. Just saying that's the case. You're the new owner.
I'll make a decision on Ovechkin.
Oh, there you go. So we'll go with you there, Chris. What's your penalty shot for the upcoming 3 games?
So I'm going to stay away from the Ullmark bashing because I think he's taken a beating today. And we all know how we feel right now about the goaltending situation. So I like to see the Bees go 2-1, upsetting Vegas, beating the Kings again. I think the Kings game, though, is going to be a tough one because I think they're going to be like, well, we just get smoked 7-0, so we're going to want to get a little bit of retribution. I think the Bees win that game. It always feels like the Blue Jackets play them tough, doesn't it? It always feels like they have I don't know.
Well, when Torts was with them, they used to just kick their asses. Blue Jackets used to kick the Bruins' asses when Torts was with them. I don't know what they're like now, but so, that front they've been red hot lately. I mean, they beat Carolina today, so did they? No, they didn't. No, sorry, they beat the Devils today, not Carolina. It's a big difference.
So I guess I wanna obviously see them go. I want to see that 2-1. I feel like that's fair. I think again, I usually will go when we do this thing and I'll be like, all right, well, they're going to lose to Vegas. And I'm going to do the opposite this time. I'm going to say they're going to beat Vegas.
Which means they're going to lose to Vegas.
Again, but in a tough game. It's going to be like a 1-goal game against the Kings. And it's going to be a tough, gritty overtime loss against Columbus. But I'd like to just see some I don't know. I just want to see a little bit more noise out of that, line with DeBrusk. I want to continue to see that grow and elevate a little bit more and kind of see what that turns into. And who knows, maybe I just don't want to see DeBrusk kind of like flame out because I think it's going to validate a lot of Bruins fans' feelings of Jake DeBrusk where, he's building his value right now and maybe they try to move him in the off season versus in the regular season.
I like it. I'm not going to do mine because I've been put in the sin bin apparently for posting about NASCAR last week. So
yeah, I gotta tell you, that was out of the blue. Out of the blue. To me, you know what NASCAR is, right? NASCAR is me walking out of this apartment, setting up a lawn chair, and just watching cars drive by. Like that is just.
So here's my reasoning. I do have reasoning behind this, and I will give you this story before I go. I work at a Fox news station, Fox station. So channel ABC 7, Fox 22. Fox has NASCAR every Sunday. So when I'm sitting at the news station, we have a big TV up and it has whatever's on Fox. NASCAR was on Fox. I just happened to, it just happens to be right in my peripheral vision. So, I'm just like, you know what? Just fuck it. I'm just gonna tweet about this, see what everyone says. And I just get a text from Chris in our group chat saying, you're in the sin bin for like 2 minutes next week because, you tweeted about NASCAR. I'm like, what the fuck, dude?
NASCAR's it sucks too. Like this times I go to my buddy's house and he'll have like NASCAR on and I'm like, dude, like I'd rather watch you play video games than fucking watch NASCAR.
I'll also say it was the Daytona 500. So that's the only time you will see me tweet about NASCAR. It was the Daytona 500. And I also have money on it because I do a DFS DraftKings lineup on it. But that's besides the point. Anyone else who was shocked by me tweeting about NASCAR like these two, well, you can once again go to shockedenergy.com and get 10% off your next order with the code CGSN. Use the code CGSN today for 10% off your next order. And if you are sore from, listening to me talking about NASCAR, go ahead and get a Exogun massage gun. that's a good way to work out those muscles and those knots in your sore areas because, apparently I talk NASCAR and this is new to everybody. And, it's not going to happen often. There's the Daytona 500 and it won't happen again. So, and I'll tell you one story really quick too. Last year at the Daytona 500, Florida is where it is, obviously. And, it started at 2 p.m. It was supposed to be over at like 7 p.m. It didn't get over till 1 a.m. because there was so many fucking rain delays and lightning delays. You can't drive on the goddamn track when that happens. There was like 6 delays and there was a 6-hour delay. And I was at work and I didn't get out of work until 2. I had to be up at 4 the next morning to go to work. I ended up sleeping under my table at the radio station because I had to drive a half hour to get home. So I wasn't driving a half hour to get home, to sleep for an hour and a half and had to drive a half hour to get back home, to get to work. So I slept at my radio station and it was the most uncomfortable experience of my life. And I hate NASCAR ever since then. So that's my venting session for today.
Yeah, you tweet about him.
Just that one time. Just that one time. We will not tweet about that again. And why I tweet about
it. We're holding you to that, just so you know.
Do I get 5 minutes in the sin bin next time? Is this how it works?
10. Game misconduct.
Game misconduct.
Auditions tweet again.
Is this an automatic ejection if I do it again? So that is episode 19 of Shorthanded Takes, a Boston Bruins podcast brought to you by Couch Guy Sports, sponsored by Exogun in Shocked Energy. Once again, I'll say it one more time because why not? Promo code CGSN today for 10% off your next order. I'm Jeff Hoke. That is Kevin Perdios, and that is Chris Henrique will be back next Tuesday to do the same thing and not talk NASCAR. So we will see you guys next week.